So picture this. It's late. You're walking down a city street, maybe one you don't know very well.
Right.
And you're just looking for a place to grab a drink. Or maybe you just need to get out of the cold.
We've all been there.
Yeah, exactly. And you pass 3 or 4 storefronts that are essentially just black holes.
Just completely dark.
Yeah. They blend right into the brickwork. They might be open, they might be closed, but your brain just kind of files them away as wall.
Which honestly is exactly what the human brain is designed to do. It filters out the noise.
Right. But then, half a block down, the script flips. There's this warm, humming pink glow spilling out onto the wet pavement.
Ah, there it is.
You don't even know what the store is yet. I mean, it could be a bar, it could be a taco spot, a laundromat, whatever, but your feet just they turn that way.
Like a magnet?
Yes. You are irresistibly drawn to it. It's primal. It's almost like you're a moth and that shop front is the flame.
It's a completely universal experience, and frankly, it's one of the oldest tricks in the retail book. But what we're looking at today suggests it's not just a trick, it's actual biology.
And that is exactly the question we are tackling in today's deep dive. Is it just pretty lights? Or is there actually some weird, deep-seated psychological wiring being hacked when we see a neon sign?
It's a great question.
Because I like to think I have free will, but that pink glow makes me seriously doubt it.
Well, free will might be a bit of a stretch when we're talking about the reptilian brain. Today, we're diving into a text called The Neon Advantage, and mind control might be a slight exaggeration.
Just a slight one.
But biological manipulation, that is definitely on the table.
I am fully ready to be manipulated. So to give you an overview, the core argument of this source material is that glowing signage, specifically neon, isn't just decoration. It's a tangible revenue driver.
Right. It basically creates a funnel. The fundamental premise here is that in physical retail and hospitality, attention is the first sale.
The first sale. I really like that phrasing. Before you can sell the coffee, you literally have to sell the glance.
Exactly. Because if they don't look, they absolutely cannot buy. So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack the biology of why we look, the psychology of why we stay.
Which is where the actual money is made.
Right. And then we'll get into the modern economic power of what the source calls the Instagram effect.
Okay, let's start with the biology part. Because the text leads with this very bold equation. It says, attention equals opportunity.
Yeah.
Which, it sounds like a catchy marketing slogan, but there's hard science underneath that, right?
There really is. And it goes all the way back to a biological concept called phototaxis.
Phototaxis. Okay, unpack that for us.
In simple terms, it's the bodily movement of an organism in response to light. We see it in bugs, obviously. The moth to a flame analogy you used earlier is perfect. But humans have a highly sophisticated version of this. We are inherently contrast-seeking creatures.
Contrast-seeking. So it's not just about brightness, then. Because, a construction floodlight is incredibly bright, but I don't necessarily want to walk towards that.
That is a crucial distinction. It is about contrast and warmth. The source explains that human eyes are naturally drawn to light in darker environments purely as a survival mechanism.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, in the wild, light means safety, it means warmth, or it means information. So translate that to a city street at night. A dark facade is essentially invisible data.
It's negative space.
Precisely.
But if I'm walking down that street I mentioned, the unlit stores aren't just unappealing, they literally don't register. I'm not actively choosing to ignore them. My brain is just conserving energy by not processing them at all.
Right. Your brain says, nothing to see here, keep moving. The source notes that storefronts with illuminated signage consistently outperform unlit facades at night purely on this metric of visual capture.
It makes total sense.
But here's where the modern technology comes in. Because the source spends quite a bit of time distinguishing between the old school buzzing glass gas tubes and modern LED neon.
Yeah, I noticed that section. They specifically mention a brand called Thart Neon and similar manufacturers. And I initially thought, okay, a neon sign is a neon sign. Does it really matter? But apparently the difference really matters for the biology part.
It matters hugely for what they call visual dominance.
Visual dominance.
Right. Old glass neon has a lot of charm, sure, but it can be blurry, it buzzes, the light can be very inconsistent depending on the gas pressure. The source highlights that companies like Thart Neon use the specifically engineered silicone-encased LED technology,
Right.
And that allows for a much higher pixel density and a much sharper cut of light.
So it's crisp, like high-definition crisp.
Incredibly crisp. And that crispness is what cuts through the visual noise of a modern city.
Because there's so much noise now.
Exactly. Our brains are constantly bombarded with data. You've got traffic lights, harsh car headlights, people looking at their phones. A sharp, uniform line of colored light stands out against that chaos much better than a fuzzy, flickering one.
It's almost like hearing a single, clear violin note in a really noisy room. It just pierces right through.
That is a perfect analogy. The LED technology allows for that exact visual precision. So you aren't just throwing up a light bulb, you are engineering a visual signal that the human brain actually finds inherently satisfying to look at.
Okay, so step one is accomplished. The photo tax is kicked in. I've seen the sharp line of light, and my feet have taken me over to the shop.
Right.
But getting me to the front door is only half the battle. If I walk in and it feels like a hospital operating room, I'm turning around and leaving immediately.
Which brings us perfectly to the psychology of atmosphere. This is the transition the text talks about, moving from visual capture to dwell time.
Dwell time. This is a metric I hear thrown around in retail analytics constantly.
It is the absolute holy grail for physical businesses. The source creates a very strong data-backed link between lighting temperature and purchasing behavior. It posits that customers don't just buy products, they buy feelings.
They buy feelings. I mean, that makes sense. Compare a cafeteria with those awful humming fluorescent overhead lights
Yeah.
to a moody cocktail bar with warm amber neon accents on the walls.
The vibe is totally different.
Totally. The coffee or the drink could be exactly the same in both places, but I am absolutely willing to pay $5 more in the place that doesn't make me feel like I'm waiting in line at the DMV.
And more importantly, you'd likely stay much longer.
Right.
That's the key metric. Studies in environmental psychology referenced in the text show that warm ambient lighting, specifically in that 2700 to 3000 Kelvin range, which modern neon mimics, perfectly triggers an actual physiological relaxation response.
That's the campfire effect we hear about, isn't it?
It is exactly the campfire effect. We literally evolved to feel safe and secure when sitting around a glowing fire. When we feel safe and when we relax, our perception of time naturally slows down. We stop rushing.
And when we stop rushing, we casually look at the dessert menu.
Precisely. The financial correlation found in the source is stark here. Increased dwell time has a direct causal link to an increased average transaction value.
Why?
Yeah. If you are stressed and rushing, you run in, grab a drip coffee, and leave. That's a $5 transaction.
Right.
But if you sit down because the neon glow creates this cozy, inviting third-place vibe, maybe you order a pastry, maybe you open your laptop and end up ordering a second coffee an hour later.
So the neon sign isn't just a functional tool saying, hey, we are open. It's a deliberate environmental cue that tells your brain this is a place to exist, not just a place to transact.
It's like a silent host. It sets the entire emotional stage before a single staff member even speaks to you.
Okay, but wait. I want to challenge this a little bit. Play devil's advocate.
Go for it.
Is it really just about warmth and comfort? Because I see plenty of places with really aggressive bright pink or electric blue neon, and that's not exactly a relaxing campfire vibe. But people still pack into those places on a Friday night.
That is a great point, and that's where demographic targeting comes in. The energy of the light dictates the energy of the crowd.
Ah, okay.
Right. A high-energy nightclub or a lively bar wants high-contrast, stimulating colors. They want to keep the adrenaline up and the drink orders flowing rapidly, but the underlying mechanism is exactly the same. The light is dictating the behavior of the room.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got them in the door, we've got the atmosphere dialed in so they stay. But in today's world, if you're at a cool place, you don't just sit there enjoying it privately, you broadcast it to the world.
You take a picture. And this brings us to what the source dedicates a massive section to, the Instagram effect.
I feel like Instagram effect is a term people just throw around casually to mean anything trendy. But the source material treats it as a hard, quantifiable economic asset.
Because it really is. We aren't just talking about vanity or kids taking selfies here. We are talking about the democratization of production value.
Democratization of production value. Okay, break that down for me.
Think about the average person. Most people are not professional photographers. They just have a phone.
Right.
If they try to take a picture of their food or their friends in a dimly lit, moody bar, the photo comes out grainy, dark, and sad.
Nobody posts the blurry photo.
Exactly. But if you mount a bright, beautifully glowing custom neon sign on a textured wall behind their booth,
It acts like a giant ring light.
it acts exactly like a professional studio light. Suddenly the photo looks sharp, the colors pop, The customer looks good. And because the customer looks good, they are exponentially more likely to post that photo online.
Wow.
The source breaks this down wonderfully. A well-placed sign actually transforms a blank physical wall into an active branding asset.
I see this literal exact scenario everywhere. You walk into a trendy brunch spot, and there's a neon phrase on a faux plant wall that says, "Rosé all day," or "Good vibes only." And there is quite literally a line of people waiting to stand in front of it to take the same photo. It's almost efficient, like a perfectly tuned factory line for user-generated content.
And think about the inherent trust factor embedded in that content. This is the part that traditional paid advertising simply cannot buy.
Right, because if I scroll past a sponsored ad for a burger place, my guard is up. I know they paid to put that in my feed.
Exactly. But if you are scrolling and you see your best friend looking genuinely happy, bathed in this cool blue neon light, holding a burger from that same place, that is pure social proof.
It's a verification badge for the atmosphere.
Yes. The source argues that this effectively turns your customers into your best promoters, and they don't even realize they're working for your marketing department.
It's kind of funny when you frame it that way. We're literally paying the restaurant for the privilege of marketing their restaurant to our friends.
And we are more than happy to do it. Because in exchange for that free advertising, we get social capital. We get to show our network that we have good taste, that we are at the cool place.
So the neon sign is the catalyst that makes that entire exchange possible.
It is the anchor point. And the organic reach of this is exponential.
How so?
Well, if one person with 500 followers posts that photo, that's 500 free impressions. If 10 people do it over the weekend, you're suddenly looking at thousands of impressions.
And these are highly targeted impressions, too, because usually your friends live in the same geographic area and share your demographics and tastes.
It is literally the most efficient ad spend you never actually made.
I love the idea of that efficiency. But, I have to play the skeptic again.
Do it.
Not every single customer is an influencer. I'm just a guy enjoying my coffee. I might not pull my phone out to post a photo of a neon sign. Does the sign still matter for me, or is that investment totally wasted on the non-digital crowd?
Oh, it matters just as much for you, but for a completely different psychological reason. Memory retention.
The source used a specific phrase for this. Light becomes logo.
Yes, light becomes logo.
We tend to think of human memory as this neat little filing cabinet of names and dates in plain text. Right.
But human memory is intensely sensory and highly visual. The source goes deep into how the brain encodes new memories. High contrast glowing elements create a much stronger visual imprint on the brain than flat, painted surfaces ever could.
So you're saying I'm more likely to remember the name of the bar if it was written in a glowing script rather than if it was just painted in black ink on the front door?
Significantly more likely. And this loops back to the specific technology we mentioned earlier, the precision of manufacturers like Thartneon.
Right, the silicone LED stuff.
Exactly. Because they can bend those LED tubes into incredibly specific custom logos or precise brand fonts. You aren't just remembering, oh, that place had a red sign. You are remembering the exact specific shape and identity of that brand.
It literally burns the brand into the retina a little bit.
In a way, yes. It creates a highly retrievable mental index card. So next Friday, when you and your friends are sitting around trying to decide where to go out, your brain quickly scans through its files.
And the file with the bright glowing visual tag is just easier to find.
It gets retrieved instantly, whereas the file with the dull, unlit memory gets lost in the shuffle.
So distinctiveness drives recall, and recall obviously drives return visits.
And return visits drive consistent revenue. It's a straight line.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've got the biology of attraction, the psychology of dwell time, the social media amplification, and the memory retention. It all sounds incredible, but I'm going to put my skeptical business owner hat on for a second.
I was waiting for the reality check.
Yeah, this stuff isn't free.
No, it's not.
And I could just buy a nice chalkboard for my cafe. Chalk is very cheap. Why should a small business owner drop, $1,000, $2,000 on a custom LED sign?
This is where we really need to crunch the numbers. The source explicitly invites us to stop looking at this as interior decor and start looking at it as a comparison between recurring ad spend and a fixed asset.
Okay, walk me through that math. How does that work?
Let's look at CPM cost per mil, which is the marketing term for the cost per 1,000 impressions.
Right.
If you are running digital ads, say on Facebook or Instagram, you are paying out of pocket every single day. The second you stop paying your daily budget, the traffic instantly stops. You are merely renting attention from the platform.
And renting attention gets expensive fast. A decent local campaign can burn through hundreds of dollars a month easily.
Easily. Now, contrast that with a custom LED neon sign. Let's say you spend $1,000 on a really high-quality piece from a reputable manufacturer that uses that durable silicone we talked about.
Okay, $1,000 up front.
Right. These modern LED signs are typically rated for something like 50,000 hours of continuous use.
50,000 hours. That's yours
Okay.
for your team.
It is. If you run the sign for 10 hours a day, that's over 13 years of lifespan. But let's be incredibly conservative for the sake of the math and say you only get 5 years out of it.
Okay.
$1,000 divided by 5 years is $200 a year. Break
Right.
that down further, and that is about 54 cents a day.
54 cents a day.
For 54 cents a day, you are capturing thousands of physical impressions from organic foot traffic walking past, plus all those compound Instagram effect impressions we talked about from people posting photos inside.
That is wild.
The effect of CPM is microscopic compared to traditional digital ads.
That's a really compelling way to frame it. It's amortized attention. It's basically a marketing employee that works for 50 cents a day, never takes a break, and never calls in sick.
Exactly. And this is a crucial point regarding ongoing costs. It's extremely energy efficient.
Right, because it's LED, not gas.
The source notes that modern LED draws a tiny fraction of the power of old glass neon. So you aren't getting killed on your monthly electric bill either. The operating cost is practically negligible.
So hearing all this, it sounds like a no-brainer. Every single business should just cover every square inch of their walls in neon and retire rich.
Well, let's hold on a second. This is where the source provides a very necessary reality check. They are very clear on one thing. Neon is an amplifier. It is not a magic wand.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning, if your coffee tastes like dirt, the beautiful neon sign is just going to help a lot more people realize that your coffee tastes like dirt.
Right. It accelerates the discovery process, but it certainly doesn't fix a broken product.
Exactly. You still have to run a good business. Also, context is king here. The text explicitly warns about brand alignment.
Brand alignment.
Yeah. If you run a somber, high-end corporate law firm or, say, a funeral home, putting a flashing pink neon sign in the window that says "Let's Party" is going to have a profoundly negative return on investment.
It would certainly be memorable, but maybe definitely not for the right reasons.
It creates severe cognitive dissonance for the customer. The atmosphere always has to match the service being provided. The sign is a tool used to accurately signal the type of experience you're offering.
Okay.
If the visual signal doesn't match the physical reality of the business, the customer just feels tricked.
It's basically about expectation management. The glowing sign makes a visual promise that the actual business then has to keep.
Precisely. It amplifies what is already there in the room. It cannot invent a soul for a fundamentally soulless business.
That is a great way to put it. So let's kind of zoom out here and look at the whole picture we've painted today. We started out freezing on the street, and we've ended up looking at the balance sheet.
It really is a full psychological funnel. We start with the core biological imperative. The human eye inherently seeks contrast. Phototaxis pulls us toward the light and the dark.
Right. Then, once we are inside, the dwell time kicks in. That warm 3,000 Kelvin glow triggers a subconscious safety response. So we relax, we slow down, we stay longer, and ultimately, we spend more money.
Then you add the social layer on top of that. The professional-grade lighting democratizes the photo quality, which organically encourages your customers to become active broadcasters for your brand.
And finally, the economics tie it all together. It's a fixed physical asset that provides compound returns over a period of years, completely unlike the expensive rental model of digital ads.
It's literal light turning into business leverage. It helps solve the single hardest problem any business faces, which is simply obscurity.
It is genuinely wild to think about it from this perspective. We love to think we are these highly rational, logical, modern shoppers.
Well, absolutely.
You know, we make detailed lists, we compare prices on our phones, we read a dozen Yelp reviews before we go anywhere. But at the end of the day, so much of our behavior is just lizard brain.
We are sophisticated creatures, yes. But at our core, we are still biological organisms responding to environmental stimuli. We follow the light.
Ooh, shiny.
Ooh, shiny is a surprisingly undefeated business model throughout history.
That might honestly be the truest thing we've said on this deep dive all day.
It really does explain a lot of human history if you think about it.
Before we sign off today, I want to leave you, the listener, with something to chew on. We've talked a lot about the business and retail side of this phenomenon, but I want you to think about your own personal life for a second. Think about the last 3 physical places you chose to go and spend your money. Maybe a bar, a clothing store, a restaurant. Close your eyes and really picture the interior of those places.
I bet I know what you'll see.
Exactly. How many of them had a glowing custom sign drawing your eye? And here's the really provocative question to leave you with. If our eyes are biologically wired to follow the light, and our spending habits are actively dictated by how comfortable the lighting temperature makes us feel, how much of your decision to walk into that bar last Friday was actually your own free will?
And how much of it was just an ancient biological response to a glowing tube of LED gas?
Are you the customer in charge of your wallet? Or are you just the moth?
A very glowing question to end a deep dive on.
Thanks so much for exploring this with us. We'll see you all in the next deep dive.